This is just a quick look at some ambient occlusion renders that I've made of my time machine and a few comments that I've got. So in terms of the setup, just to let you know that I'm using cycles, and this is the node setup to do an ambient occlusion render, or one way that you could do it. I brought in the ambient occlusion node and connected that to a color ramp and just slide these around a little bit to accentuate the ambient occlusion. You can change the color of your model pretty much here. So if you wanted a greenish color with a dark blackish gray shadow for the ambient occlusion, you could do that. Just connecting that to the base color and then to the material output. So that's very standard. And here's my time machine, the first render I'm going to show you, and a couple of comments that I have about this. Yeah, it's looking cool. It's been a lot of fun to model. First of all, there's less detail here. The edges are not very sharp on the door, and that's a little frustrating to me. And so I'm going to see what I can do about that, because I really do like the ambient occlusion renders. So we'll see if I can sharpen that up a little bit. As I look at the platform here, I get the feeling that I don't really like the way that these bars attach to here, and they're not quite sort of central. Some of these may need to be moved, or the whole thing may need to be moved. Most likely just these small little pieces here, but I don't find that very realistic. I'm not thrilled with the wireframe here. The one really good thing about the ambient occlusion is it really lets you see whether or not your objects have enough detail in the modeling, and whether or not they're sitting on the floor because of the shadows. So this thing was way up before. I moved it down. It may even need to come down a bit more. This central piece that's going to have some lasers or plasma or lights, whatever, might need to be moved up a little bit. A lot of this stuff looks okay, so it's a really good way of checking that and just looking at the detail in general. Now, if you're modeling, say, for games, and relying a lot on textures for details, that could be a different thing. But when I'm just doing a static image that either will end up as just an ambient occlusion or some very basic materials, I tend to rely more on the modeling than on the textures. And so as I look at this, I think, this is looking very bare and stark. I almost want to get busy modeling again a whole bunch of other little pieces and some detail on this, and I think I very well may do that. Let's look at another image. All right, from the side once again. Okay, so yeah, some parts are lacking in detail, again depending on what my plan is, but I mean, this has taken quite a while to get to this point anyhow. All right, here we have a close-up now of the keypad. If I was again sticking with ambient occlusion, if I was running out of time for the challenge, I would want to do some work on the clock face here. Of course, I've left off the central little stubby part here and the hands, and then of course I would have done a texture for the rest of it. So I probably should be modeling that in. I might need to tilt this ring down, so sort of following gravity, or maybe it's stuck like that. I don't know. It's not a big deal. But I would want to do more work on the panel with little things on here, and maybe something on the buttons to make them a little bit more tactile and interesting. On this one, an overhead look. Yeah, there could be I think a little like this kind of indentation. I think I need that here. Maybe this could be sharpened up a bit. Some gear work up there. I mean, it's never ending depending on your time and your interest. But like I say, those are the first ambient occlusion renders of this thing, and I'm pretty happy with a lot of the modeling. But I would say, you know, realistically speaking, if I wanted to take this to the next level, I would maybe want to put some more detail on here. I don't know, a couple of notches, or maybe even put the card in. I don't know. And on here, and just everywhere I look, pretty much. And I would call it, I don't know, 70% done, 80% done. But with kids and with the time constraint, I may not do much more. But I do think I will address the bars, which might simply be just putting, you know, like a little base like this, maybe thinner, under each one, maybe bolts, and then some kind of difference to this floor here, and this grate here, maybe extending this in a little bit and only having a small amount, and then having some concentric circles with slats in it. I don't know, but it's calling out for something. So it looks like I'm back to modeling. So, all right, we'll see how this progresses.